All right, everybody, and welcome to episode number 3 of the Daily Dose Show. We are back in action once again. I am your co-host, Alex Hunt. Alongside with me, the man that once again needs no introduction, Dominic Pagura. Dom, how are we doing today?
I am doing fantastic today. Had a great last few days since our previous show on Wednesday.
Absolutely.
Have enjoyed watching the Guardians come back after the All Star game, and of course tonight they play the Padres again. So looking forward to another stellar game, and happy to be here.
Hey, we're back in action, man. I am excited to be here with you guys once again, and we are back. It is officially the second half of the Cleveland Guardians season, and they brought it back in style. With the fact that they ended in a little bit of a rough skid, they came back and they put 7 runs on the board. I mean, especially against the knuckleballer.
A
I mean, I
shutout.
know they only put one up against him, but nonetheless, they get him out of the game, and you know what they do they're typical when they face the bullpen of teams. They start opening up the game a little bit, and Bybee had a fantastic start. The team held him to 4 hits throughout the entire game. The bullpen looks sharp as always.
The bullpen always comes in clutch. I have nothing but good words to say about the bullpen. Surprisingly,
Oh, I love the bullpen. The bullpen's the best. I mean, honestly, everybody in there is just a little different and does something just a little bit different, and it's great because it just adds character. You have so many different players that you can throw into certain situations that it just becomes situational baseball, and the Guardians are really good at playing situational baseball this year. That is for sure.
100%. Um, did you want to get into a little bit of the coverage from last night's game, or what's your game plan for this morning's show, if you will?
Yes, and that'll be a good time to note that this show is actually being recorded on Saturday.
Sorry, I hate to spoil it.
Yeah, the hate to be
Dude,
the nah. It's good. We were gonna say it at some point. This is a
yeah,
we're not live, pre-recorded video, obviously.
Dom's got some.
Dom's not gonna be available on Sunday, so we do not. We will talk about Sunday's game.
Next
Not
show.
Yeah, next show. We will not be talking about it on Sunday night because this is Sunday night show. But anywho, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I think we're just gonna get a little bit into the Guardians game from last night. Obviously, it was a 7-0. Well, I think there's a good amount to talk about in that, and definitely looking forward to the next. I just looked at the schedule for the rest of the year, and I definitely want to tune in on that because I St. Louis Cardinals being the worst opponent we play for the rest of the year is not a good sign.
Not at
That
all.
is not a good sign at all. But nonetheless, we'll start where everything's right. The nice 7-0 win against the Padres at home last night in the City Connect uniforms. The first take on that is I don't even know what our record is, but I'm pretty sure we are almost undefeated with those City Connect uniforms on.
We are well. Our current record is 59-37, so we have almost broken the 60 win mark,
I just was thinking about that.
which
That's
is
gonna
stellar.
look. Hopefully, we win tonight, and that 60 mark looks beautiful.
This time last year, we were, I believe, just under 500. I
Ugh.
think. I think.
Which is insane to think that we will have 60 wins.
I
Just
would have never
sitting,
guessed.
and you can. It's just I think about it like this: the Guardians could go on a 10-game skid and still be so above 500 that it wouldn't even like they don't even have to worry about it.
Nope. You're 100% correct.
And that's absurd to think about as a team that has the fourth lowest payroll in the MLB to just
Yep.
be sitting here like, listen, I let this team play. Just play.
Just let them
They
take
just
care of
play.
business.
They're playing. They're taking care of business, and they are playing. It's
Yep.
absurd. It's great.
It's wonderful, if you will.
Magnificent. It is. It is.
I do want to get into some of the stats from last night. So David Fry rose from the dead last night and had a huge game. He had 2 runs on 3 hits.
Yeah.
So that was pretty impressive. Had an RBI there. Jose also had a really, really good game as well. He had 2 RBIs and 1 run himself on 2 hits. So, with that being said, it seems like the guys are not where we kind of expected them to be after the All-Star break. I think they are rejuvenized, and I think that break really did give them the energy that they needed to head into this second half of the season and hopefully be able to keep in contention and keep those Royals and those Twins a couple games back from us, so we don't have to worry about those guys.
No, and absolutely. I look at. I mean, obviously, we were talking about it, and if you look at the last, I mean, not half a month to month of the beginning of the half of the season, David Fry was starting to digress a little bit. You were starting to see him come back to earth. Stephen Kwan, after getting all the hype, with his batting average was just slowly ticking and ticking and ticking and ticking down. And you see like Josh Naylor was like and sometimes he was hot, sometimes he was cold. He was a little all over the place. And so now you see David Fry go 3 for 3, get a walk, get on base. You see Stephen Kwan bat 500 again, get his 2 hits, get in there, do his thing. You see Jose Ramirez also went 500, had a nice 2 RBI hit there with bases loaded, and that's what they did. When you look at the last game they played, and this is like the perfect capture of them being rejuvenated. If you look at the last game of the season, or the last game of the half, it was against the Rays. They were 1 for 21 in that series with runners in scoring position.
That's terrible.
1 of 21. I heard that stat. And in that game alone, they had 3 or 4 hits with runners in scoring position that scored runners.
3 or 4?
I could look.
You might as well look. That's kind of surprising to me.
Well, if you think Rocchio had an RBI single.
He did.
He had a 2 RBI single. Jose Ramirez had a 2 RBI single. I guess you can't count the sacrifice fly, but you can count. You're good. You can count David Fry's RBI single Sheeman's RBI double.
Yep.
Which is 3, so that's 3. So you can't count 4. I was thinking 4, but the 4th might be the sacrifice fly, which you wouldn't count as a hit with runners in scoring position. But nonetheless, you would count as scoring a runner in scoring position, which you'll take nonetheless. But yeah, I just confirmed it was 3. It's 3 hits with runners in scoring position. So you'll take that when you had 1 in an entire 3-game series against the Rays.
Absolutely.
Absolutely will. You will take that.
That Rays series was tough, especially knowing that the Rays are a pretty decent team in the American League. Of course, the American League East is pretty stacked. But for us to be having those issues against even the Rays compared to the types of things that come up against like the Yankees and the Orioles and even the Red Sox, we have our fair share of issues with the Red Sox.
Not this year.
Not this year. And I honestly, between all those teams, I think the Rays have given us kind of the most issues compared to the Yankees so far and the Red Sox and of course the Orioles. So we'll have to keep an eye on them. Obviously, I'm not too worried about them. But definitely something to keep an eye on. But as the season rolls on, like you had said, the Cardinals are the least winningest team that we will face the rest of the season. So we definitely have our work cut out for us. But with some big series against the Phillies coming up, another homestand against the Orioles, Diamondbacks, Cubs, Yankees, Rangers come to town. It's gonna be a brutal next month.
I guess I didn't see. The only thing I didn't see is that we do play. I thought we did not play the White Sox again. We do play them one more time, so I will scratch that to say we have one. We have one. But to be fair, if you look at how the White Sox have played us this year, this is not at all a gimme series. And if anything, that is the worst team for us to even possibly play. Because it's almost like the Browns playing back in the day Browns playing the Ravens and Steelers. There was always some kind of a chance. It's a division game. Things happen. Like if there's any game that if there's any series in baseball you're gonna lose that you shouldn't, it's a division series because it just happens. Yep. It just happens. You play them too much. But other than that, I mean, yeah, if you look through that schedule, it's the scariest. It's just. You're going good series after good series after good series, especially you go straight from San Diego. You're hoping that, I mean, Detroit is in one of those, are they going to sell? Are they going to buy in? What are they going to do? They don't, obviously Screwball's getting offers around from the Dodgers and stuff. So it's, you look at the schedule and you just they got to dial it in, and they will have a couple key series throughout the rest of the year, kind of like the beginning of the year, to be honest with you. They'll have a Baltimore series, that's important. They'll have a New York series, that's important. And they will have another 2-game, well, they'll have the 4-game stretch with Minnesota in September. That's late September, too. So that's when things start getting in the nitty-gritty, and that's the team right now. Because the Royals, I love them, but they were already coming back to earth, and they will stay there. They will end above 500, but it'll be no more than 10 games above 500.
100%. Just looking ahead, yeah, I'm looking at the schedule here as well. Closing the season out against the Astros at home, that's going to be a huge series.
That's depending on where you are, that's a huge series. If the Guardians are 10 games up, they have nothing to play for, that series becomes you might be throwing some random people up in that, and that might be a lineup not worth seeing. But It could be. That whole end of September, I mean, that's where you get that St. Louis series. You're going to need that series. And you do get a lot of home games. That's the other thing. You do. You get a lot, especially in the end of September, you get a lot of home games. And that should be a key because this team loves to play at home. They get a lot of home games at the end of September.
We also have a 9-game on the road stretch where we play in Kansas City, then we go to the Dodgers, then we go to the White Sox, and then we come home to face the Rays again, which is, again, just talked about it, not an easy series at all.
No,
and we go into the Twins, Cardinals, Reds, and Astros.
So. Especially when you're going from a place like Kansas City, then you got to go to the West Coast, then you come back, but you're not even home, but you're on the East Coast again, and, well, you're an hour difference, and then you have to come back and play at home on another time change, even though it's only an hour, but you were just 5 hours or 3 hours off. So you're gonna come into a stretch of time where you're gonna have good, like, obviously we play Baltimore at home again, which is good because we played them in Camden. So you're hoping that all those results come back. Hopefully you can get 2 series wins out of Baltimore. Hopefully you can even and beat New York in New York. And, you just got to keep it up with Kansas City and just continue to do what they do, which is they have always found a way to never lose 4 games, which is key because that avoids the big streak. 3 starts the streak, it ignites it, but it's how does that flame grow? Are you going to put that flame out the second that it gets hot? Right. Or are you going to sit there and watch it burn?
Right. Yeah, 100%.
And so they need to keep their mistakes in that sense, and then they need to continue to do what they're doing, which is just winning the close games. Like, even if that game ended 1-0, they would have won it. And that's what the Guardians are so good at doing. They need to continue to do that. I think the bullpen's only going to get stronger. I think the starting pitchers specifically are only going to get stronger. I think it actually can only go up from here.
Yep.
Now that with the second Gavin Williams got in here, it could only go up from here. Gavin Williams back. You have at least Bibee and Williams as your set, and Lively. At this point, Lively is also, you have 3 set in stone players, and that's great right now, especially with where we were at one point in the season. I'm in on that.
Lively is going to be huge for us, especially the rest of the season here, and we'll really see how a lot of these guys, how they're built to play against some of these big time teams, especially we do get a little bit of a preview into a couple of the teams that we could possibly face, depending on what spot we end at in the ultimate conference standings. We could play the Yankees, we could play the Rays, we could play the Twins, we could play the Astros, we could play could play the Royals, Orioles. A lot of teams in here that we're getting a good look at, and it'll give us kind of a little preview into what we should expect once October rolls around.
Well, and don't forget, this year's a little different. You want to be the number 1 seed in the AL.
Oh yeah.
You want to be just like in football now. You want to be the top dog. You're now fighting. Now being the top team is like you wanted to be in the top 3 because the 4th team has to play against normal teams, like in the playoffs. So you don't want to be, you were fighting to be in the upper echelon, but now you're fighting to be the guy. And the Guardians are, as we stand here right now, they're the guy. They're the guy. And at the end of the day, that comes with the fact that you have to play 3 key teams that are sitting right behind you wanting to be that guy. So that makes those series that much more amplified, and especially now that you're going into the later months of the year, you're getting into the late July, August, September, where October baseball is just slowly creeping its way upon us. Yep. It's going to be you're fighting, and the Guardians have an advantage over all of these teams for one reason, and the only other team that also feels the same way about this as the Royals is that they legitimately have nothing to lose. But that's the thing about the Guardians every year. They never have anything to lose.
Nope.
Because no one ever expects them to be there every year, no matter what. So they literally just go and just have fun. And that's the difference. The Yankees and the Dodgers and all of them, they play with so much pressure that it almost actually gets to the players. Like, this team plays with no pressure. They have no pressure at all. That's why you saw, and you can see that to a degree, because the second that the media starts really honing in and really picking up on it when they should have before, then you start to see Cleveland kind of trickle into Cleveland a little bit. You see them start to fall a little bit. You see Kwan gets praised for his average, and then it slowly starts to fall. You see that David Fry gets praised, and he slowly starts to come back to earth. There's something about Cleveland always being rid off by the media that makes Cleveland so special, because it gives them the ability to just play without even a single care in the world. They just play to play. They're athletes. They just play. They love the game, and they play, and it's exciting. It's just beyond exciting, and it's awesome, and it's how all Cleveland sports teams play, and they just play with that poise of Cleveland against the world, and it feels like that sometimes. It really does. Feels like Cleveland gets a lot of unnecessary hate.
I totally agree with that too. And looking just at comparisons here for the league, the Guardians are still the top team in the American League.
Well, we only played one game, brother, and we won it.
We're still the top.
We were top dogs. Did the Orioles win? Did they play yesterday? Did they win?
The Orioles did win.
Okay, so we're tied for him.
Yep.
Let's paraphrase. We're tied. Well, don't we have one less loss than they do, though?
We do. Well, we have 37 losses. They have 38. We are 59 and 59, so we are tied.
Yeah. So
Yankees are also 59 wins.
So from a percentage perspective, we are actually him, But
Yep.
from the MLB's perspective, we're tied for him.
We're tied, right?
So it's dependent on what you want to look at, but deep Cleveland fans know we're number one. And you know why? Because head-to-head matters. And we absolutely smoked them in their own house. So head-to-head matters. And in my opinion, the Guardians are the number one team in the nation.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. I believe the Guardians are the number one team. There's nobody better right now,
No.
especially coming off the All-Star break.
They're hot.
We are hot.
They're
We're
hot. They're
hotter than
hot.
hotcakes.
They're hot. I don't care. I don't care. They are hot. The other leading team in the NL, the other number one team, the only other team that has a better record than us, has the fourth highest payroll in the MLB. We have the fourth lowest payroll in the MLB, and we are sitting here in the same position that they are, smoking cigars at the top of the goddamn food chain, looking at all the little puppies that are sitting there spending money on absolutely nothing but broken bats and dreams.
Yep.
And we're sitting there and we are just smoking on that Tuca pack all day long, all night. We went all the way to Detroit just to go get some pack. That's what we did. We smoked them in a series and then we got some weed. That's all we do. That's all we do. It's like Infinity Stones. Nah, we that's it. That's it. We're only going to LA to play the Dodgers so that we can get Cali Kush. We ain't even, who's Shohei? Show never. Don't show your face in Cleveland. That's what I say.
Yep.
I'm so happy if he went to the Yankees, I would have been a little happier just because we would have got to play him more. And I just fuckoed. I have a level. There's levels to baseball, and Ohtani just. And I think it's because he went to the Dodgers. I really do, but it's just I hate him now. He was on the Angels, and I actually I was like, oh my god, look at this dude that pitches like a beast and hits. I could only in my head playing Little League, I could only think about one at a time. He's in the major leagues doing two at a time. That's ridiculous. But now he's on LA. Now he's on LA, and I'm like, I literally could not care less. I actually hope. I kind of wished that the whole gambling thing did fall on him because that would have been funny. But
did you see the one gesture he made a week ago?
yeah, I know exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about.
What do you
It's
think that
ridiculous.
was he shaking his glove off or?
I don't know, dude.
Was that?
It's something. It's something. Listen, at the end of the day, this whole little sports gambling era we're in right now is a little funny, and I think it's dumb in the sense of players sports betting is just stupid because going out of your way, you should be allowed to bet on yourself in single sports events. You should be able to bet on yourself, but you should only be able to allowed to bet on yourself to win. I should be, if I'm in a tennis event and I join a tournament, I should be able to bet on myself winning. You're good.
100%.
I should be able to bet on myself winning because I think that because not only if I don't win it, I lose the money, but if I win the event, it also gives me an incentive to make more money. I make more money because I got to bet on myself. And if I lose, then I lose money and I don't win money. So it's you're betting on yourself. I don't see why you couldn't in single sports, but obviously team sports, if the quarterback goes out of his way to throw an interception so that the team loses the game, that's that's messed up. That's messed up. Teams should be able to bet on themselves winning the Super Bowl though. Teams should be able to allow betting on themselves in positive, but you shouldn't be able to negatively bet on yourself because then you can just do stuff to negatively affect it.
Yeah, you can't bet on. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Yeah, winning the Super Bowl or winning the World Series or anything like that. That's different. But if you're betting if you're betting yourself to not hit an RBI and you're like, I'm not gonna.
Right. I got bases loaded. My RBI thing is actually high. This would be a really good money grab, and then you just sell the bag. That's no good. But if you're sitting there and you're I'm gonna win MVP this year, and then you go throw $100 or $1,000 that you win MVP and you win it, what the fuck does that matter? If who are they to tell you that you're not allowed to like be confident in yourself and like put money on it and be like, no, you know what? I'm going to win MVP. I am better than, because you are playing with the top 1%. You could literally be the second best player in the NFL. You know how hard it is to win an MVP? You have to literally be the best player, the best like person out of everybody. You just have to be. And so it's like, if you bet on yourself and win that bet, like that's statistically an improbable bet, even if you're in the NFL. That is still statistically you have just as good of odds of betting on yourself as someone else does betting on you. Because there's nothing changing. You can't do any better. You were going to go out there and be an MVP anyway. So like, you know what I'm saying? You're just basically giving yourself more fuel to do better, but like, aren't you want to be better? That's the whole point of the NFL. You want to be the best you can be possible, not the worst. That's why you can't bet on yourself being the worst, because you shouldn't be the worst, or you shouldn't strive to be the worst when you're playing against the best. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, nonetheless, man, I think off the topic of betting and all that jazz,
we got into it.
If you like that, I mean, especially because now that it just came out in Cleveland, it just be like that. And to be fair, that was a good little time filler. I'm glad we went on that a little bit, because I think about the Guardians game, I think we had, that was a good touch. I think David Fry, Stephen Kwan, Jose Ramirez highlighted that with just their abilities to do what they've been doing all year and showing that little rough skid. Hopefully, obviously we're one game in, but hopefully we can kind of dig ourselves out of that groove, and looks like we're doing a very good job of it with that 7-0 win against the Padres there. And Tanner Bybee gets the win, which he deserves every win possible, because I've seen that dude give up 2 runs and lose. So he deserves every win he gets, because we somehow don't score runs when he throws the ball. So nonetheless, I think it's about that time.
I think it's that time as well.
The top 10s.
Let's do it.
And obviously for you guys, we decided to do a little off little segment here today, where me and Dom are going to sit here and talk and compare our top 10 Cleveland sports athletes of all time. This is sports athletes of all time, any era, any team. You got your Indians, Guardians, you got your Browns, you got your Cavaliers, you got your athletes.
This is it.
Who wants to go first? Let me get my list up. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I kind of want you to go first.
Or do you want to just go one by one? You want to go start at the okay. Yep. So I do want to note that I did just add a player, and I replaced him with someone, and he's lower than he should be, but we did this right before, so I didn't have enough time to put him in his correct slot. So I'm gonna say him in the slot I have him in, but he should be top 3. He should be top 3. He's not in my top 3. He's at the bottom. All right, I'll start off with number 10.
All right.
Number 10 is Kyrie Irving.
All right. I like that.
Kyrie Irving made the list.
I like it. I mean,
he made the list. He made the list, and he wouldn't have 3 years ago, strictly because of my thoughts and opinions on Kyrie Irving 3 years ago.
Agreed. Totally
agree. He just now redeemed himself to be back in the list. So congratulations, Kyrie. You're 10.
You have earned your spot on Alex's list. You should be honored.
Honored.
So getting into my number 10 here. My number 10 is Corey Kluber.
See, he's in my honorable mention.
Is he?
He's my second honorable mention.
So the main reason I put Kluber in there is for his big run with us. Obviously, he won the Cy Young with us, but his big run taking us—I was going to say twice. His big run with us taking us to the World Series and being our ace for all those years. I mean,
We worked him to death that playoff season.
we did. He would be higher on my list if we won that World Series.
Oh,
I mean,
he would be
it's not-
on my list if we won that game 7.
But it's not even like on him though. I mean, he played the best that he could.
He got overworked, and in that game 7, he was not at his best strictly
Right.
because it's the last game of the season after you play 162 and then you play every playoff series, and he's pitching at least once to twice in every playoff series. So you're asking a lot out of a man who had a Cy Young season that year, who already pitched. I mean, I assume would be top 5 in innings that year
Right.
from just how good he was and how much he pitched.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree. Corey Kluber, I thought about him on my list, and he definitely got in the honorable mention because he was insane.
Yep. 100%.
Number 9. Number 9 is my spotty one. Number 9 is my indecisive. Should not be at number 9. I have Jim Brown.
All right.
Jim Brown should not be at number 9. He's an absolute GOAT. He should definitely be in the top 3 because he's just literally the Browns. He accompanies the Browns.
Yep. He is the Browns, like you said. Jim Brown, God rest his soul.
God, rest in peace to the legend, man. Go.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Go.
you know, he made an impact on the Browns, past, present, and future, and I think that is more than enough that you even have to consider him in your top 3, top 5, top 10, whatever. He should be there 10 times out of 10.
100%. 100%. I agree.
So, getting into my number 9, this is tough. I don't know how you're gonna feel about this one. Baker Mayfield.
Oh! All right. Baker Mayfield is in my honorable mentions as well. He's a little lower in my honorable mentions, but I know exactly what you're going to say, and I know your exact reasoning behind Baker Mayfield being in your list, and I agree with every single thing you're going to say, because yes, you can't, no matter how it ended, no matter how the divorce goes, you can't, the description and the value of the marriage isn't the divorce.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
It's the marriage.
It is.
And the marriage was so beautiful that it can't even be accompanied into like words as a Cleveland sports fan.
Right.
What the marriage was. And once again, no matter how the divorce was, the marriage existed. So I agree. I am not against you on that pick. I'm not. I agree. I like it. I like that pick.
Yeah, no, Baker, I mean, you pretty much answered it for me, but pretty much like Alex said, you know, you can't look at it from the perspective of how he left, but what he did while he was here. Coming off of an 0-16 season, Baker Mayfield was one of the main reasons why we turned around. His attitude and the aura that he brought to the Browns.
He was a dog.
He's a dog, and I still look like anytime I think about Baker and what he did in Cleveland, I'm like, man, I really wish he was still our guy.
I wish they did not let him, and he did not play on his shoulder. He should have never played.
I agree.
That decision ended his entire career in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right then and there.
I would have been more than happy watching Case Keenum
Or
and Jacoby Brissett back that up.
right.
I know Brissett wasn't really here, but still, he was an option at the time. So
yeah,
I mean,
and I would have been fine. I mean, as it would have sucked, and you would have been like when you heard that he could have, and and did and whatever, you would have felt some type of way the other way around. You would have been like, damn, like he should have played. But like I'd rather be a little upset that he didn't play than be like he's not here anymore, and now I have to sit here and be like, this dude literally went from bringing us to the playoffs to now like I'm waving him goodbye because our team just doesn't believe in him. Like I don't get that, but like I agree. Baker Mayfield is a fantastic pick. I like it. It's a story. It's beyond the athlete on that one for sure. My number 8 is an interesting one. Zydrunas Ilgauskas. Big Z is my number 8.
Interesting.
There's a reason why his jersey's in the rafters.
There is. I like it.
I went to that game.
I like
Big Z, other than LeBron, was the only other person that we had to grip onto that was any kind of like good. The dude was just a beast, and he was tall and he was massive, and he was just the center. He was just a center. He was the center, and he was such a freak athlete that's all. Like, the reason why he's on this list is because of how tall and how big and how dominant he just was as a player. It's like it's almost so hard to even like you forget about it because we were younger. But when you actually look at it and you watch, it's absurd. The man was skilled. He was underratedly skilled at the game, and if he played now, he would still be dominant from the sense of he would sit by the goddamn paint, and he would not like you have to move him, and you're not, and then that's just him. Big Z makes my list. He's a dog. I've always loved him. That's more of a personal pick. I know he would be left out in a lot of lists, but I fit him in there at the 8 slot.
I think that's a good spot I think that's a great spot to fit him into. And that kind of follows up mine with my number 8, Francisco Lindor.
Once again, he's at the complete and utter bottom of my honorable mentions list. Really? And it's only because of years. It's only because of years spent, and it's because of choice. It's because of choice.
Yep.
It could almost be the same way with Kyrie, but there's a little bit more to it with Kyrie than there is with why Francisco Lindor left. With Francisco Lindor, it's obvious. He left because he wanted to get paid.
Yep.
That was not the case with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving he had vendettas, and he had issues and things that were outside of just that needed to be addressed and solved, and it was not helping that he was in Cleveland.
He wanted to be that guy.
And yeah, he wanted to be the guy, but he also, him and Bron at the time they had things going, and there was things going, that speculation and shit like that. But nonetheless, I like your pick. Francisco Lindor took us on the run. It's the same thing as Corey Kluber, except we didn't. Francisco Lindor he was the bag chaser, in my opinion. He was the bag chaser. So I kept him off my list, but I did put him in my honorable mentions, and he shouldn't be at the bottom of the honorable mentions. He just was. I just thought of the name at the end and put him in because I almost forgot. But yes, I like the pick.
I'm glad you like the pick.
I like the pick.
I'm getting so caught up in the WNBA All-Star game here. Just kidding.
It's 11.
They got stuff going on TV.
I was like, it's 11-19.
I'll be honest, I didn't know the All-Star game was even going on this weekend, but
yeah, neither did I. But
anyways,
what are we? So this is number 7. Seven gets good. 7. This is where it starts to get good. Jose Ramirez.
Interesting. Okay.
Is the 7.
Interesting. A little low in my opinion, but
it's low, but as we go up the list, it'll start to make more sense.
Okay.
It'll make more sense as we go up the list, but yes, I have him at 7. And the funny thing is about it is that there are indeed 2 more Indians players on this list.
Are there?
Yes. And I think you know exactly who both of them are.
I know one of them for sure.
You definitely, yeah, you
The
know.
other one's a toss up because I don't know if it's gonna be him or another guy. But
There's two that I was in between putting which one I was gonna put in that spot, and they
Yeah.
fought because I wasn't gonna put another baseball player in because I knew I had to put Jose in too. So
Right.
I had to keep my list to an interesting. But Jose fits in my 7. Once again, a part of it is because obviously. It's in with Jose. With Jose, I just love Jose because it's just there's a reason he's in over Francisco Lindor, and it's because he's still here and Francisco Lindor isn't. Obviously, like that's my like deterrent. Like if it wasn't gonna be Jose on the list, it was gonna be Francisco Lindor, but I couldn't even do that because Jose's still here. Jose literally has iconic moments. I mean, so does Francisco, but beyond like now I think it's not over and Jose's gonna have so many more, and if anybody's gonna get a statue between the two, it's gonna be Jose. It would always be Jose, and he loves Cleveland, so we love him back, and so Jose hits my 7 spot. I love the man to death. He's just an absolute GOAT, and he will finish higher on this list than 7 by the time he's done with his career. He will be top 3.
100% agree. 100% agree. Couldn't have said it any better, honestly. This gets into my number. What are we, 6?
7. You're still 7. You had to say you're 7.
Number 7. So this is where it gets interesting. Number 7 for me.
1 second. Yep.
Another one where, again, I want to reiterate that I am looking at this in purely what impact they left on the team overall. And to me, Jarvis Landry.
Honorable mention. You're naming my whole honorable mentions list. You're naming
7.
every one of them, bro. I love Jarvis Landry.
Yep.
He's Cleveland.
He is the reason why the Cleveland Browns are the way that they are now, and he's the reason why he was the ultimate just unsung hero of that Browns team that from 2018 through 2020, they continued to shock the world, and even though they didn't do too much and have too many, they didn't have anything really to show for it, just the turnaround that between Baker and Jarvis, and we'll get into some of the other guys that have contributed, but yeah, between all of that, I think there's no doubt that Jarvis belongs on this list, on my list.
I listen. I agree. I think he is a big part of what Cleveland is,
Yep.
especially from the Browns' perspective. That gritty, hard-working underdog. And I agree. I like the pick. I like
And
the
you know
pick.
what? Talking about Jarvis makes me really wish that I could have put Nick Chubb on this list, even though he's a current player. I'd put Nick Chubb on this list any day.
I have him an honorable mention with
He's a
an
living
apostrophe next to him, just that says Batman Returns. So he'll be on this list. Nick Chubb should be on this list, and he will be on this list. He is not on this list, but he'll replace the other Browns. One of the other Browns players that are on this list. There's 3 of them. Well, 4 if you count Jim Brown being on the list. He'll replace one of them, and it's going to be in my 4 slot. So not the next one, but the one after that. He'll replace him at some point. Right now, it's just we got to let his career finish out. I'll put him in. He'll slide himself in there. He's a GOAT.
That's fair. Yeah, that's
He's
fair
a GOAT.
enough.
And with that being said, that brings us to 6. My 6 is Omar Vizquel.
All right. That wasn't who I was expecting, but I like it because it
with
makes sense.
with an apostrophe next to Kenny Lofton.
Okay, Kenny Lofton was the other one I was gonna say. That's who I
Apostrophe
was thinking.
apostrophe next to Kenny Lofton. Omar Vizquel takes it just for the sheer a part of it is a family thing. My dad's favorite player is Omar Vizquel and always has been and always will be. So as a kid, I've watched more Omar Vizquel than I have anybody. But a freak, a freak baseball player and a freak athlete and just a freak. Omar Vizquel was just so good and such a key part of the success of those 90s teams.
Yeah.
That it's just, and obviously I never had the personal experience to watch it, but just watching it now is still just like a different breed. And it's the same with Kenny Lofton. I mean, the dude literally would field ground balls with his bare goddamn hands. Like, the dude was a menace. They both were menaces, but I think Omar Vizquel had a little bit of a better overall career, especially in Cleveland. I gave it to Omar Vizquel. He took the sixth spot. Just a dog. I mean, an absolute dog. Someone from those 90s teams outside of the other person who's on this list needed to be on there. It needed to be one of them. I put Omar Vizquel. That's my number 6. And it's just a dog. Straight dog.
I like it. And you know what? I want to go back. No, I can't go back.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I
What do you
can't
mean
go
by
back.
that?
I can't go back.
What do you mean by that?
I can't go back. So what picture are we on?
We're on. I just did. So you're 6. This is 6.
6. So
Number 6.
my number 6 is going to be Jim Thome.
Okay. See, I like that.
A little low.
A little low. I 100% a little low, but Jim Thome is just Jim Thome, and the fact that he came back to finish his career here also stamps Jim Thome as being Jim Thome.
He is one of the main reasons that the Guardians Indians without Jim Thome, the Jim Thome era, and with everything that came along with that, obviously through the Vizquel and Alomar and Lofton and all those other guys that came along during that time, Thome was like the Ramirez of the 90s teams, honestly, in my opinion. He was like the slugger,
No matter
the guy
what.
that you looked to when you needed a big play or a run on the board. And obviously he's got a statue out front of Progressive Field for a reason.
And there's a reason why he'll be next. Jose Ramirez will be right next to him. It's because they just accompany the two teams.
Yep.
Those two eras that were so good. And the people that were born in the 90s, in the 80s and stuff, to see both of them happening right now and the ones in the 90s are beyond. Like my dad, who was born in the 70s, like late 70s, and got to see those 90s teams and got to see those the teams now still one from like, and that's just like, that's awesome because they're both just two insane eras that are so much fun to just either watch back or watch current. It's it's great. It's awesome. And I agree. I like Jim Thome. Could be higher on the list, but I'm excited to see who's above him on your list. That brings some excitement.
Good.
My 5 spot is gonna be my 5 spot is the only one that I put him on. I was thinking of names and I knew he needed to be on the list because it's just so it has to happen. Because no matter how, all right, I'll say it. My number 5 is Josh Cribbs.
Wow.
My number 5 is Josh Cribbs. And my reasoning behind it is no matter how bad the Browns were, Josh Cribbs was so goddamn good that we almost won games because of a kick returner, a punt return specialist. Like that's the thing that people like. That dude was like if he wasn't on the Browns, I want to say this, and this could be a Browns fan part of me talking. if he wasn't on the Browns and he was on a more successful team, he would be considered to be a Devin Hester-esque returner.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
and he's not talked about like that because he was on the Browns. That is the opinion I will carry to the end of my grave, and that also gives me so much respect for him because he was always on the team. He never went anywhere. He said, "I want to be a Brown. I'm a Brown,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he said, "I'm a Brown for life." And to this day, he still reps the team. He still loves the team through thick and thin. It's just Josh Cribbs is not only dedicated to the Browns, but he was so good when the Browns were so bad that it was like the punt returner was almost your favorite player on the team. And it's just like that shouldn't happen.
No, not at
That
all.
shouldn't happen. That's how good he was. And that's why I put him on my list. And that's why I put him higher up on my list, because I genuinely think that like he just embodied he was the only player to embody Cleveland while we were in shambles.
Yeah.
Mr. Consistent, Mr.
Mr.
Reliable.
All
Like,
reliable.
Yeah, and that was Josh Cribbs. So I had him at the 5 spot. You could argue him being very lower and at the 10 spot, but just Cleveland, man. It's Cleveland.
I like it. I like it.
Now
And you know what? This is an honorable mention, but another player that I'm not surprised. I know he's probably on your honorable mention.
yeah,
Not saying this, but Joe Hayden.
Joe Hayden's on my honorable. And another one is Phil Dawson.
Phil Dawson. That's another good one there. Yep. Phil Dawson deserves maybe even Josh Gordon.
If Josh Gordon played like 2 more decent seasons, he would be on the list 100%. Even if he went somewhere else and did good, he would be on my list. Because if he had any kind of good career, he would be on my list. But he legitimately had 2 fucking good seasons and just proceeded to smoke weed. But if you look back at it now, NFL, give the man his career back. Give him his goddamn career back. They need to simulate 2 seasons on his career with like the projections of his best seasons so that like they can fill out at least a 5-year career, because that dude got robbed of
He
a
did.
great career because he decided he wanted to smoke a little weed. They let people do that now. Come on,
Right.
NFL. We gotta get off this. We gotta get off this jazz.
love
Reggie Bush got his Heisman back. Now give Josh Gordon his mother career back.
Agreed.
I'm calling
Agreed.
this now. I'm posting this. YouTube. You're going to be seeing this literally on a shorts. I'm making this a whole separate short video. YouTube, if you can hear me, contact the NFL. Dear NFL, give us Josh Gordon's career back. Please. I need you to reinstate 2 years of his career and simulate them as if they were like around his best, and at least give it to him, because you robbed the man of probably 4 fantastic years, and we might have even been a decent franchise. So I blame you guys for that. And also fix Bottlegate too. Thank you.
Gordon could have won MVP.
Oh my God, he beat Antonio Brown in Antonio Brown's best season.
That's saying something.
He beat him. He was the number 1 receiving yards leader. He was on the Browns.
That is saying something right there. Like, come on now.
Honorable mention to the 1-year wonder Terrell Pryor being a dog for 1
Terrell
year
Pryor,
and having
there we go.
1,000 yards 1 season.
Yep,
For
there we go.
some reason, that's an honorable mention. That's a season, an honorable season. Was the Terrell Pryor year?
In a year that we had Cody Kessler, Kevin Hogan. God, I don't even want to get into that. That hurts my brain.
Oh, but we did have
RG3.
Terrell Pryor. We did. He's a goat. Goat talk.
Anyways, getting into my number, is it 5?
Yeah, we're 5.
Number 5. Myles Garrett. Little low on my list.
5?
Little low on my list.
5?
5. Number 5.
Now I'm really interested to see what your the rest of your all right. All right. Well, I don't think there's a question on why he's in your top 5. I need the answer of why he's not in your top 3.
So the reason why, I kind of went back and forth between Miles. I had him either at number 2 or at number 5. And number 2, I really, really like that position, but I think it belongs to somebody else.
Okay. I'm excited. I'm excited because I know you're gonna say a name that I never thought about. Because at this
Probably
point,
not.
because at this point, you're almost through my honorable mentions. Besides, there's still 4 players that I have in my honorable mentions that you haven't said yet. 5, because I didn't. The first one is. All right, never mind. I know where you could go with this. I know exactly where you could go because there's people in my honorable mentions that I almost had at number 1.
Really?
But it's just they were either number 1 or they didn't deserve to be in the list at all because it's either the list is about one thing or the list is about another thing. And if I had to think about what the list was about and then make my tier list based on that.
Yep.
And so I had to take people out that should, by the end of their careers, will be in the top 10, 100%.
Yeah. No, that's totally fair.
I agree. So I get it. I can see it. I can see where Myles Garrett in a world where he's 5.
All right.
But you better have at least 3 of the 4 people I'm thinking about in your list, or I'm gonna kill you.
I would imagine I do.
All right. 4. Number 4. This is where we start getting into. Number 4 is Jim Thome.
Okay.
Number 4 is Jim Thome.
All right.
Jim Thome barely missed the top 3, and it's obvious. Once I say my top 3, you'll come to know why I put Jim Thome right outside of the top 3 because there's something specific about the first top 3 people. They have one thing in common, and the top number 1 is a little bit less true for them, but it's still true. It's weird, but we'll get into that. But for Jim Thome's an absolute fucking animal. I mean, the man was ripping home runs so far that I don't even think you can comprehend how actually far he was mashing the ball. He was
into the street.
He is legitimately he was the power hitter. I mean, a lot. You always you know about the eras. You have the Barry Bonds, you have your Sammy Sosas, you have all your big hitters, all your big names. That was the Indians' big name. Jim Thome was the guy. That's the guy that when you look at, you're like, it's Jim Thome. And obviously there's skits of people who have come and gone. Travis Hafner came, Travis Hafner went. Jim Thome is the one who stayed and had his career, the good parts of his career here, and was just Cleveland. I mean, he's another guy who's just Cleveland, man. I mean, he just mashes the ball. He's just insane. He's insane. But that's my number 4 right outside of the top 3. What about you, boy? What about you?
Number 4.
What about you? What's 4? I want to see this. I want to hear it.
Jose Ramirez.
Okay.
Number 4.
Okay. See that? Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. So you passed the first one. You passed. That's fine. I agree with it.
And Jose is arguable. You can put him really anywhere on your list if you
anywhere.
Want to. But
anywhere.
Jose, compared to some of my other guys in my top 3, obviously except 4, but Jose. I mean, I'd put him at all the way up at number 2 if I had to. I don't know if he'll go any higher than that, but depending on the rest of his career and what he's able to do for Cleveland, there's a chance. You never know.
If he wins an MVP, he might take number 1.
Close.
If they win a World Series and he wins MVP, he will be number 1. I almost think he will be. It'll be very close because obviously number 1 is a very tough battle. But
it's hard.
Okay, Jose works. You know what? I like it. I like it. The top 3. Cue the music. That's the top 3. Joe Thomas.
Yep.
Joe Thomas is number 3.
Yep.
You could argue I could have put him at 1. I could put him at 2, or I could put him at 3.
Yep. The Iron Man.
The Iron Man. I mean, the Iron Man in and of itself is literally like top 10 worthy. Yeah. It's the Iron Man in and of itself. He's a dog. And the fact that he still works with Cleveland. He still supports Cleveland. He bleeds Cleveland. We literally ruined his career, and he still loves us. Like, that is literally crazy talk.
Yep.
That is crazy.
He reps us like no other.
No other. Him and Josh Cribbs, man. Him and Josh Cribbs absolutely rep Cleveland to the day they die. And it's just something that makes you so proud because they have no reason to.
They have no reason.
No reason at all, but they do because they love the fans more than like how the team might have treated them. They love the fans in the city.
They fell in love with the city.
That's what it is, man. Cleveland's great. People hate Cleveland is great. Because we always have our backs against the wall, but we don't care. We're so ready to fight. We fight for our lives at all times against people.
And we're all together like this.
We gotta fight for your
right.
Shut up. Copyright. Anyway, all right. Number 3, boy. You better tell me. I put Joe Thomas.
Number 3 is Joe Thomas.
Joe Thomas. Yeah, he's on. I'm surprised we haven't queued up like syncs yet, but Joe Thomas was a fair one to sync on for sure. Yep. He deserves the 3 spot. He deserves the top 3. I don't think he'll ever move from the top 3. I don't know. I mean, obviously as athletes come and go, but the Iron Man streak, it's absurd.
Yep. It's crazy, man. Can't go wrong.
All right. Number two. Myles Garrett.
Yep.
He not only is he bought into the city, he bought into the Cavs, obviously. He wants to be here for his entire career. And he is just he's a Hall of Famer. You're talking about a guy that is just a different specimen. Obviously got ranked the best edge rusher this year. He's the number 1 ranked edge rusher going into the season. You're talking about a guy that is feared by people to the point where you have to double team him or he will beat you.
Yep.
It's not even he will beat you if you are one-on-one with him.
Absolutely.
That dude that's thrown Trent to the ground, thrown big boys, thrown them to the ground. Talking about another Hall of Fame offensive lineman to the ground, eating turf. A guy that literally can win you a game as a defensive player, can literally score you points as a defensive player.
And he almost killed somebody with a Steelers helmet.
And he almost killed somebody with a Steelers helmet. That is literally Cleveland.
Yeah. Like, what do you want? What else do you want him to do?
And it was like, other than like Antonio Brown, it was like one of the players that you would love to see just get smacked in the face with their own helmet.
Yep. 100%.
Myles Garrett, number 2. It's obvious. He's a specimen. He's a dog. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He still has years to play. He's going to end his career here. It's going to be fantastic. And it's just going to be a beautiful thing. It's going to be one of those things that you don't get to see that often in Cleveland. A player of his caliber that starts and ends. We lost Joe Hayden.
Yep.
We lost Josh Gordon. We hopefully never lose Nick Chubb.
Right.
We lost Baker Mayfield. We lost Landry, even though he didn't start our
OBJ.
Even though he didn't start his career here. We did lose Jabril Peppers. I will fucking say that. Listen, I love Odell to death, but we should not have given up Jabril Peppers. BS talk. That's real talk right there. Jabril Peppers, his career got ruined because he had to go to the goddamn Giants, but also he would have been so good for us. He would still be on the team right now. He'd be on a great contract. Everything would have been beautiful with Jabril Peppers on the team. But
Jabril was a dog, and I miss him.
I think number 1 needs no debate. There's one person on that no one has said yet.
Well, I haven't even gotten to my number 2 yet.
Oh yeah, that's right.
My number 2, Jim Brown.
Jim Brown. That's where Jim Brown should be. By the way, guys, Jim Brown.
Can we both say our number 1 at the same time?
It's obvious, guys. If you don't know, there's one dude that is notably from Cleveland and from Ohio that has not been said yet. And even if we wanted to sit here and pretend like it wasn't him, then we would just be the dumbest people ever, and I would tell you to never listen to us.
Right.
Like if
Absolutely.
we didn't even have him on the goddamn list, let alone anything. Like the list. Like who? You know what? I don't even want to say it because it's dumb if they don't know it. But like, guys, it's LeBron James.
LeBron James.
It's LeBron James. No matter what you think about the king, he's the king for a reason. LeBron James is the greatest Cleveland athlete of all time. It's almost not even close. You can debate a little bit. There's teeterings. There will be in the future people that knock on the door. But for now and for the time coming, there's nobody like him. I mean, he not only is he the greatest Cleveland athlete of all time, but he is debated as one of if not the greatest NBA players of all time. You're talking about a guy that literally has traversed generations, eras, has legitimately sparked conversations throughout generations. He is barbershop talk-esque throughout the world about this guy. You're talking about a dude from Ohio that is legitimately generational beyond our belief. LeBron's name will now be known forever. If you want to think about the fact that we know people's names from the beginning of the NBA, we're going to remember LeBron's name in Cleveland, in Ohio, in the United States of America forever. I can't hear you, but there you go.
LeBron is like the Julius Caesar of America.
Uh,
I don't know.
He's a dog, guys. And listen, I know deep down, no matter how you feel about LeBron, you think the exact same thing. When he won us that championship, there was not one person in Cleveland, Ohio that hated LeBron. So we are not going to sit here and hate on him now because he doesn't play for Cleveland anymore. I don't care. LeBron James is the king, the man from Akron who stayed here somehow, some way, got drafted here. It was just all meant to be. And so for that, we'll do our top 10 list, and I believe we both did a fantastic job. You can teeter and totter people. I do want to say my honorable mentions of the people we did not note: Victor Martinez, J.R. Smith, Kevin Love, Denzel Ward, Asdrubal Cabrera. We did mention Phil Dawson, Joe Hayden, and Carlos Santana.
Slam Tana.
I think every one of those dudes, especially Victor Martinez, I will say I had him on my list and took him off. Victor Martinez was absurdly good, and if he played, the thing I took him off for was not playing as long of a career in Cleveland as other players on the list. Yep. So that's why Victor Martinez fell off. J.R. Smith, obviously, I think he was another dude that came from New York and just was Cleveland. Especially with that whole little never put his shirt on. Kevin Love obviously staying here and trying to be here even after all the bad and signing the extension even though we were terrible. And then Denzel Ward. I mean, he's the number 2 ranked cornerback in the NFL. The dude's an absolute beast. He just gives me Joe Hayden vibes from the sense of we always seem to have that cornerback, that guy that just clamps and is argued always as a top 5 corner. Asdrubal Cabrera is a sleeper pick in my opinion because that dude was insanely gifted at fielding. His hitting wasn't as good as his fielding, but his fielding was so good that it was just like, wow. Especially with Jason Kipnis, that era was absurd. Obviously Phil Dawson is Phil Dawson, and I wish we could show some kickers some love for real.
I agree.
Showing some kickers some love, but nonetheless, I mean, obviously, we did not, as I'm repping it on the hat, we did not include athletes from the Ohio State University, which would have added a couple of names to the list, I would believe. Eddie George,
Zeke.
Zeke. Fuck, don't you? Do we even want to talk about Prime Beanie Wells?
Whoa. There's a blast from the past.
Prime Beanie Wells was a dog.
The hell did you get that from?
What do you mean? Look at the stats. Go
No.
look at the highlights. I have a signed picture of Beanie Wells in my closet somewhere. He's a dog.
What?
What?
Beanie Well.
He's a dog. Search him up. Look at no. Because we're searching up Ohio State career Beanie Wells stats right now because he was Beanie Wells.
Beanie Wells.
Ohio
That's
State.
hilarious.
Ohio State. He's only 35 years old, by the way, guys. The dude should have just retired from the NFL like maybe 3 years ago, and he's been retired for probably 8.
I cannot believe you mentioned that name.
Come on now, there's no. The dude was running. The dude was holding. All right, hold on. Hold on. I'm hold on. I gotta find his Ohio State stats. It keeps showing me his.
I wish it would compare.
Okay. Wait. Do they just like? Okay, here we go. 2006 to 2008. I was 4 to 6 years old, and I still remember this dude playing. That's how damn good he was. Chris Beanie Wells was from Garfield. Played 3 seasons.
I like it.
So let's see. This is 2007. He was voted team most valuable player, second team All-America. He was a first team All Big Ten with 1,609 yards with 15 touchdowns. 4th among all-time OSU single-season rushers and 1st among sophomore rushers.
That's actually really impressive.
He most notably had a career best 2 touchdowns and 222 yards versus Illinois, including a 62-yard touchdown to the crib. He also notably had 146 yards with a 65-yard touchdown in the BCS championship game against Michigan.
That's actually really impressive.
And he won the Archie Griffin Award for offensive MVP. And he won the W.W. Hayes Award for outstanding player in the Michigan game. Big Ten All.
Wells.
Yeah, he was just a dog. I mean, he simply was just a dog. It's just not even fair. Really isn't.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, even in 2008, he had 3 less games, so he missed 3 games with an injury, and he still finished with over 1,200 rushing yards, or around 1,200 rushing yards, with still averaging 5.8 yards a carry. He averaged 5.9 in 2007. That is absurd. He still had 8 touchdowns. He was not a receiving guy, though. Did not receive.
Not a big receiving guy.
Not a big receiving guy at all. But Beanie Wells, shouts out to you, boy. But all right, man.
That wraps it up, man. Beanie Wells.
Episode number 3 will end on Beanie Wells. I hope you guys enjoyed the top 10 list. I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of us rambling about sports betting there in the middle. And I definitely hope you guys enjoyed the Guardians coverage. Don't forget, drop a like, subscribe, comment down below some ideas, any thoughts and opinions on the show. Other than that, you know it's been your co-host, Alex. And Dominic Pagura.
Dominator.
And you know it's been your boys down here at the Daily Dose Show. And we are absolutely grateful for you guys. We will be live for the next show. This one was had to be a little bit of a pre-recording. We will be live. Don't forget to come back and check us out again, because we're going to be back and better than ever. Other than that,
our live shows Our live
Our
shows,
live shows are electric. You got to be on the live show. Pre-recording doesn't feel the same without you guys. I promise you that it doesn't flow as well. It's just not as good. But once again, it's been your boys here down at the Daily Dose Show. We appreciate you guys to the grave. We will see you guys again shortly. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and support the show. Check out, we're gonna have some content coming out before the next show from this show. We're gonna get that top 10 list out to you. Also, I'm posting that YouTube clip. I do not care. They're giving my boy Josh Gordon his career back. Hashtag bring back Josh Gordon's career. All right, where the Daily Dose Show is bringing back Josh Gordon's career one day at a time. We'll start him back in college. All right, guys, it's been your boys. We'll see you guys on the next episode, live in action. Peace.